Good. Second, be with us, Yona, please. La'achar shipur Pinchas. After the story about Pinchas and all the things that come out of it, there was a commandment to fight against Midian, and the Jewish people are counted. That it came because of this plague. All the 24,000 get killed, so Moshe wanted to count. Dana Torah b'divrei chalukas Eretz Israel. The Torah talks about dividing the land of Israel. Hitmanato shel Yehoshua. And then after that, who's going to take the Jews into Israel? Page 51. You with me? Who is going to take the Jews in? Yehoshua. Yehoshua, he becomes the Roy Yisrael. He becomes the shepherd of the Jews, and Meviotam le'Eretz Israel, that takes them into Israel. Moshe took them out of Egypt, and he did not merit to take them into Israel. Why? Because he struck the rock. Moshe struck the rock. God said, God told him to talk, and he struck it. Afterwards, at Sofa Parsha, it talks about the sacrifices. This is a really packed portion, Torah portion.
It said that each rock he spoke to, a little bit of water.
One rock, right. He spoke to one rock and little drops came out.
That's a lot. That's a miracle.
That certainly is a big miracle, but he had 3 million people to give to. Right? So what's he going to say? Okay, whoever gets here first gets it. He talked to the wrong rock, but he had no way of knowing. It was very strange.
God said, speak to the rock. Which one? I don't know.
There are a lot of disappointments and frustrations in life. This is probably one of the biggest ones. Here we have 3 million people screaming for water, and God tells Moshe, take your stick and talk to the rock. So he takes his stick, the same stick that he hit the rock with earlier, 40 years early, whatever it was, and water came gushing out and gave everybody food. And everybody's saying, we're hungry. Moses, what type of a leader are you? We regret we ever voted you in. Moshe Rabbeinu said, listen, first of all, you didn't vote me in. God chose me. And so God is not good. Well, now someone says, just take it easy. I'm going to bring you water. So he says, talk to the rock. So he says, okay, rock, give him water. Nothing. Give him a little water, a lot of water. Hello, rock. Hello, anybody there? Rock. Knock, knock. Where is the water? So a couple drips come out. Moshe says, something's going on over here. So he talks to another rock. Nothing happens. He talks to another rock. Nothing happens. And finally the right rock comes along, and Moshe says, strikes it, doesn't talk to it. And because of that, God said, you didn't follow orders. You're not going to take the Jews into Egypt. You have to deal with frustrations that are beyond belief if you want to be a leader of the Jewish people. Not easy. Shebechelkam kamo shtei alechem kama korbanos tzibur, and the nesachim. There's what's called the 2 breads that are brought on Shavuos. There's what's called the wine libations, which are brought with every offering. Itevshar akravatam rak beretz Israel. It's only possible in the land of Israel. So the last part of this story of Pinchas is talking about how God tells the Jews to divide up the land of Israel. He picks Yehoshua to take them into the land of Israel. He tells them about the sacrifices that can only be done in the land of Israel. Because all of these things about Pinchas getting rewarded and becoming a Kohen, which is not understandable, and then Yehoshua getting chosen, and then dividing up the land, and then the idea of the sacrifices,
You could just say for Pinchas becoming a Kohen, you could just say God said it, let it happen. Whatever God says is right.
Right, but see,
You could just say that.
you could. But you have to understand something. What is the Torah? Right? What is the Torah? The Torah is not a fluid thing. The Torah is the will and the wisdom of God. Once God says something said in the Torah, you can't change it. Right? For instance, there are things that the rabbis can deal with, can make clear, or they can add on to, but they can't negate things. For instance, it says clearly in the Torah that you have to keep Shabbos. You can't have a rabbi say you don't have to keep Shabbos. Right? It says in the Torah that you have to put on tefillin. Tefillin. It doesn't say clearly in the Torah you have to put on tefillin. It says but the rabbis say no. What it says in the Torah, you have to put a sign between your eyes and a totafot between your eyes and a sign on your arm. That means tefillin. That's what Moshe received on Mount Sinai. Those things you can't change. You can't. Those are not given to change. Why not? Because God said. Because God said. Therefore, we can come to God with demands. We can say, hey, God, you said in the Torah that you're kind. You said in the Torah that you're kil rachum v'chanun. Why do you do these terrible... Why is there a Holocaust? What's going on? Doesn't make any sense. Right? So God says, listen, it doesn't make any sense. Who says it has to make sense? It doesn't make sense that I created you. He said, yeah, but God, you said it in the Torah. It's in the Torah. You said it, not I said it. God said, oh, there you got a good point. Now you got a good question. That's a good question. What's the answer? Mashiach will answer that. He says, that's no good. That's not a good answer. He says, but that's the answer. You have to accept it.
It's not what you want to hear.
Right? That's not what I want to hear, but that's what you need to hear. Right? Okay, but let's say that's okay. But to take a law that says clear in the Torah, God can't change it. He just can't say, oh, you know what? I rethought the Torah. God said went to sleep last night. I figured this thing about, Shabbos, I'm going to make it, 2 days a week, not 1 day a week. What? Rethink it over, yeah. He had an argument with his wife or something, That what it says, honor your mother and father, forget it. Just honor your father, not your mother. Huh?
I had a Reconstructionist rabbi once tell me, you have to keep 1 day. If you can't do it on Saturday, do it on Sunday or Monday.
That's the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments says you should work 6 days and keep the 7th day. It doesn't say which day is the 7th day. And it doesn't say you have to keep every 7th day, just one time. 6 days work, and 7 days you can keep, right? There are some people that are very, very expert at that. They work only 6 days of their life, they work. After that, they never work again.
And then there's some people that keep Shabbos every day.
Keep Shabbos every day.
We don't know.
I mean, a suffix, that's right. You don't know, you can never tell.
We
Right?
just assume, Saturday
Yeah.
Friday night.
Could be, but don't want to take any chances, right? So I don't work, There was a fellow I knew, it's not nice to talk about him, so I won't say his name. I knew him, he was a lazy person, you couldn't find a more lazy person than this. And he owed everybody money, and he was, it was a nice enough guy, but he was a stupid guy. Anyway, so once I remember, it was Motzi Shabbos, I went over to his house. And I said to him, you owe me whatever is 100 shekels. If you got the money, you said you'll give me. He said, oh, I don't touch money Motzi Shabbos. So Motzi Shabbos, there are some people that don't. The Motzi Shabbos, they want to carry Shabbos out. So, oh, Motzi Shabbos, I don't touch money. He doesn't touch money the whole rest of the week either. But Cave and Shekala and Yanima Elu Nichlol and Parshat Nikra is called Pinchas. So it must be that the going into the land of Israel and everything which is into it, dividing up the land, all the sacrifices, the choosing of Yoshua, is all under the name of Pinchas. Kolomer she'al yedei avodato shel Pinchas, by means of this thing that Pinchas did, by means of this you can go into the land of Israel. This whole idea of coming to the land of Israel, this is a big, a big point of argument in Judaism, right? There's a lot of Jews that say that, you come into the land of Israel, that's it. That's the redemption. We're just coming to the land of Israel, and that's it. We're here. That's it.
Which part?
Huh?
Which part of Israel?
No, that's the whole thing. That's the whole business. The whole thing of the Mashiach is going to be something else. Going to be later or something. Eretz Israel. The whole thing.
People, every time the plane lands in Israel,
could be. Listen, the fact is, it's a very wonderful thing that people come to Israel. There's no doubt about it. And Israel is certainly a holy land. No doubt about that. And the more Jews that live in the land of Israel is also very amazing. But the Rambam says, and he's the only one that really decides this law, that only Mashiach will bring all the Jews back to the land of Israel. Okay, now the Rebbe is going to explain why. Razal Omrim, the rabbis say, Il moli chatu Yisrael, if it wasn't for the fact that the Jews sinned, hayata kvar az gula shlema, there would have been a total redemption of the Jews. Im kenisasam rishon l'eretz, when they first came into the land of Israel. See where we are? Page 52, page number 2. It's written 2 on the top. When they came into the land of Israel, there would already be the total redemption. Even though that it wasn't a whole, complete redemption, even though that the future redemption wouldn't have happened then, there were a lot of Jews that died in Egypt. It says only 1/5 of the Jews left Egypt, 4/5 died in Egypt. And there were a lot of Jews that died in the desert. Right? All of the Jews that were in the desert, they all died. It was a whole new generation. Only the people that were under 20 years old at the time when the Meraglim, the spies, made everyone refuse to go to the land of Israel. Only those people went into the land of Israel. So a lot of Jews died. In the future redemption, it says all the Jews are going to go out. Okay, but now we're waiting for the complete redemption in the future. If the Jews had not sinned, then they would have gone into the land of Israel with the golden calf. They hadn't sinned. If they hadn't sinned, they would have gone to the land of Israel, and that would be the future redemption. If so, we have to learn from this. The future redemption is something we're all waiting for. That's the whole essence of Judaism. Chabad is trying to remind everybody that. Lefi zeh shekanisa le'eretz Yisrael hayata b'doma legula tira. Because going into the land of Israel was similar to the future redemption, so now we can understand the connection between going into the land of Israel and Pinchas. Why? Because the future redemption is not just a physical or a political movement of people from one place to another. We already had that before. The Jews were all together in the land of Israel in the first temple. They were already there in the first temple, and we had the temple, and it was all built. And nevertheless, they got kicked out. They didn't, because the whole idea of the future redemption is that people's priorities will be totally different. People's priorities will be totally different. That the priorities of, first of all, the Jews and eventually the whole world will be only to serve God. When that happens, the Jews will want to come to the land of Israel, because only in the land of Israel can you really serve God. That's why one of the things the Mashiach will do is build the third temple. Because without the temple, you can't do a lot of the commandments. You can't really serve God. And that's what everybody's going to want to do, is serving God. We'll see. Pinchas was the first one to do this. Pinchas is Elijah the prophet. Pinchas ze Eliyahu. Eliyahu zeh sheyavaseret geula shlema. Elijah the prophet is the one that's going to announce the future redemption. Now, Pinchas really lived about 600 years before Elijah the prophet. Elijah the prophet was in the middle of the first temple. And Pinchas was way before that. 400 years before the first temple was born. 440 years, whatever, before the first temple was born. The first temple was built, And the first temple was, so let's say Pinchas was about 600 years before Elijah the prophet. How could it be that Pinchas is Elijah the prophet? We say Elijah the prophet, that was Pinchas. We'll talk about that. The whole novelty of what is going to be this new big redemption that's going to be by Mashiach, that the Rambam says that everyone has to believe in and wait for, and if you don't, you're denying the whole Torah. That's what the Rambam says. What's going to be? What is going to be this big redemption? Not that all the Jews are going to come to Israel. No. Shitkayem az lo yikanef od morecha. There will not be any more hiding of godliness. What is godliness? Simple, what is godliness? You can get little glimpses of it in the world. We talked about this before. little glimpses of godliness. Sometimes you see something that's very beautiful, beautiful sunset, something beautiful, harmonious. Sometimes a little bit of beautiful music. They say that once Beethoven wrote a symphony, and one of the violinists came to him and said, he saw the music. He said, Master Beethoven, you wrote this music here for the violin. There's notes here that a violin can't get up to. It's too high. And Beethoven said, I'm talking to God. Who cares about your stupid violin? Right? I'm talking about God. In other words, the harmonies that he had, it's fantastic, right? Beautiful. Love. A person loves his mother, loves a good friend, loves his children, to give birth to a child. This is something infinite. You see a little bit of infinity, something a little bit good, something that's infinite, pure. He says, well, the whole world is going to be like that. That's where the whole world is going to be. Everything will be meaningful, everything will be pure, everything will be good. You'll see the good in everything that there is, every blade of grass, because really it is true, it's true. That's the novelty. Lo yakanaf or morecha, especially the Torah, the secrets of the world. Why is God creating this? What is behind every single commandment that we can do to serve God? Or ein sof, that the infinite light of God, lo yeh mechuseh, won't be concealed in any garments. Ela yoir begila, but it'll shine in a revealed way. Keyom mir, or just like now, there shines light. Kafishu melubash toch levushim v'tzimtzum lefi erech haolamos. Now this light of God is contained in